Okay, let's continue quickly. I'm Hanan Tzuberi. I'm a scholar of Jewish studies based in Berlin, and I'm currently working in Jewish education. And to my left sits Elad Lapidot. Elad Lapidot is a philosopher and a professor of Jewish thought, currently affiliated with the University of Lille. And he's also the founder and director of the Center of Intellectual Diaspora, based at the Katholische Akademie in Berlin. And co-director, whatever. Everything is collective efforts. To my right sits Sami Khatib. Sami Khatib is also a philosopher and a professor for media studies at the University of Applied Arts in Karlsruhe, and he's also a research fellow at the Orient Institute in Beirut, if that's still correct. Great. So I would like to really focus or bring attention back to the group that we founded and ask you really one central question. The members of the network, Jewish and Palestinian academics, are situating themselves as Jews and Palestinians respectively. In other words, they're using their so-called identities for certain political and institutional ends. And I would like to know from you, why is that? What are you saying as Jews and Palestinians that you would not be able to say actually, without making reference to that specific identity?
Recording stopped.
Thanks.
Yeah, okay, I can start, okay.
You know the question, so you just go ahead.
Yes, you distributed the question before, but I couldn't find my answer. I wrote it actually there, but no, I will improvise it, don't worry. Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for this great event, and it's an honor to be sitting here next to you. I think most of the things have already been raised, but maybe as the philosophers come at the very end, as we already said, so we can reflect on what had been said already, and maybe as a philosopher I would like to say that as a universal claim to truth, so ideally 2 + 2 is always 4, and I don't need someone called Sami Khatib or someone identifying as Jewish or Palestinian to tell me it's not 5, But unfortunately we are in the realm of ideology, and truth claims are of course bound to subjectivities that speak. So I can, of course, deny the relevance of the speaker's position, but on the other hand, I know in which discourse I intervene. So, I mean, 2 ways to answer that. One would be probably more a satirical one, always comes to my mind, Nietzsche's "Thus spoke Zarathustra," when Zarathustra gives a speech and then one of the hunchbacks comes forward and said, "Why, Zarathustra, do you speak differently to your disciples than to us?" And of course, Zarathustra mocks him and said, "To a hunchbacked man, I'm allowed to speak in a hunchbacked way. So when I speak in a hunchbacked way, I have to bow and share the weight of a hunch. And this hunch is of course, the gravity of the German guilt discourse. And of course, I have to make this hunchbacked claim of, me as blah, 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 can say this and this and that. Then, why do we have these alliances at all? I mean, certain things I cannot say in public. I need to bring you, we did it already a couple of times. We are a team already, kind of. Remember, recently we were on the same stage again. It's okay, there is some effort. I pay taxes in Germany and there's a whole package. So you have to play the game a little bit. However, it's not just funny. I think it's problematic, and I know we buy into a discourse that ideally we don't want to be part of, but I think you have heard the statement. It's kind of middle of the road. We try to somehow cater to a discourse that we actually would like to change, or to challenge at least. So you can see it from both perspectives, and maybe to call to have such a noble name of our alliance is also to make it for Germans more palatable to, talk to us and to give us a little seat on their table, while, of course, we are building a different table, maybe also a different building.
Yeah, so I think what Sami laid out and what I would agree with really also is that in certain ways, identity-based claims for justice are really the kind of thing that led us into the mess, the trap that led us into the mess we are right in now, especially in Germany, but I think also globally. Meaning, a claim for justice becomes politically effective and legible in the moment it is articulated as a result of past victimhood. I've been a victim, now it's basically over, and that's why I can make a claim for justice now, when it's always too late. So my question would be, how do we, as people who situate ourselves consciously as Jews and Palestinians, avoid reiterating the very structure that we are up against? Sorry. Take two. It's okay.
I only need one. So since I do Jewish thought, I will do more hermeneutics than philosophy, and I will do a commentary on what Sami was saying, and perhaps a reading of the title of our association in response to what you were saying, what you were asking, Hannah. So I think the situation in which we intervene, I mean, the whole point of this intervention is that there is a situation already given, and we intervene on this situation. And this situation has different, let's say, constellations involved, but a very central constellation has a Palestinian versus a Jew. There is a given staging of this situation of adversary, enmity, conflict, whatever you want to call it. This is a core moment, the heart, in a sense, of the entire situation. And this is where we intervene. Now, we try to, in the intervention, of course, to counter that enmity, counter this conflict, or counter this adversary. And there is a way of doing so, and I think this goes back to how what Sami was saying. There is a way of doing so by appealing to what lies beyond any kind of conflict, a difference, a division, to some kind of a universal discourse or universal position. We could be speaking as human beings, as people, as scholars, especially as scholars. We usually think of ourselves as working within a dimension of knowledge and thought and reason that specifically doesn't know, so to speak, of any inherent divisions or enmities, and has this claim of speaking universally. So we could do that. We could ignore, so to speak, the situation. People are doing so. I think, again, now reading our Verein, we don't do that. We do something else. And the question is precisely what we are doing. So I think, again, to try to explain ourselves to ourselves, I think what we are doing, we are acknowledging that there is the situation given as it is, and we assume the conflict, we assume, I would say, our intervention consists in the end, right? Palestinian end, Jewish. We take the conjunction. We take a conjunction and not just a unity. Or if you want, we are assuming a hyphen, because it's a Jewish-Palestinian initiative, okay? So there is a hyphen, there is a Bindestrich. Namely, we accept that there is something, and it's not given, a unity that is not given, a unity that is need to be built, that we work on. And this is, I think, the core of the intervention, which means that we assume this staging, perhaps sometimes against our will or what we expected from ourselves. We agree to enter based on biographies, different positions, different mentalities, different ideas, to assume a certain position, and it's not obvious, of not being united in a Verein, right? In something that does want to have unity. And in this sense, the Bindestrich, or this end, is not something we assume or take for granted. It's, in a sense, it's a vision. It's a vector of an act that now needs to take place. And I think in this sense, it's not just reproducing identity politics. It is accepting that politics is based on positionalities, subject positionalities, and that we intervene within these positionalities by assuming them and by activating them. We're not just reproducing patterns, we're trying to create new constellations.
Thank you. Shall I chime into the next question, or do you want to? I'll take the next one, and we have like 2 minutes or 3 minutes left. So ideally then, if I understood you correctly, there is no need anymore for a fine like this, right? There is no need anymore for a racist game. But let's now turn to the maybe productive potential that I hear in your elaborations of this specific situatedness. Jews and Palestinians have skin in the game, so to say. The State of Israel acts in the name of global Jewish safety, which turns non-Israeli Jews into implicated subjects. Western states' unconditional support for that same state, in turn, has tremendous implications for Palestinians living in Europe and is lethal, of course, for Palestinians in Palestine. What does Jew or Palestinian respectively then add to the discourse here, or to our actions, as Nahid emphasized? What's your interest in Jew or Palestinian, apart from an urge, for example, to reject Israeli statecraft?
Yeah, I mean, this is a good question. I think the particularity of this skin, in the end, when interrogating it, shows that this skin is a universal skin. But you do not start with the universal and then you say, you know, I as a human, then as a Palestinian. But as a Palestinian, and this particular skin can work as a symptom of that relation of violence that this state enacts. But by pointing at it, I also make a universal claim that all states are relations of violence. And there is no point in believing that a state is there to ensure the safety of the people. What we have are rights, defensive rights against the state and against the excessive violence of the state. State power is never your friend. These are very simple insights that are universally true, but maybe the particularity of that skinned experience makes clear how horrible this actually can be and to be used as a token for state terrorism and genocide. I mean, this is exactly the obscenity of the position. And I think it is good to start with the particular and then make the universal claim, and to resist the temptation of singularizing it. No, I mean, we have the problem that... Exactly, exceptionalizing and then make it a singular, that all our categories, even legal categories, are now being singularized. So there is no racism, there's no colonialism, there are only, not particular, but only singular cases that can't be compared. Completely crazy. I mean, the whole point of a concept is that it is a shared attribute between particulars, and then you have a singular. I mean, these are basic logical. That's why philosophy is actually a good discipline, and people should. Anyways,
Jewish studies could also have been a good discipline. Thank you so much. Thank you, Elad and Sami. I think we are in time again, and I would now invite what is it? I'm getting to our moderator, back to our main moderator.